I'm Beth.
And I'm Staining.
And you're listening to Mixed Politics. Welcome to episode 37.
Wow.
I know. 37.
I thought we were at 40 already, but that's fine.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
We're getting close. We're a little behind in recording.
Yeah, we got a lot of new stuff going on and other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But things are normalizing, so I'm hoping to be able to,
Good.
we can do this more often, every other week at least, at the very least. We're still on pace for 25 per year. So
Yeah, I think so.
it's fine.
So, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Appleton Estate Rare Casks, 12 years age.
Nice.
And master blended by Joyce Spence herself. I think I've had this on the podcast before. 1749. That's a damn lie. But some of this with a little Coca-Cola and a twist of lime, like always, because that's my thing.
Always.
Yeah. But I think for the rest of the podcast, I won't be mixing it because it tastes really good by itself.
Yeah.
And the Coca-Cola is just kind of fucking drowning it out, and it's driving me crazy because, like, whatever. I'm trying to finish this fast so I can get back to that.
All right.
We'll
just don't get too sloshed because I need your expertise on some of this stuff.
I'll be
tonight.
here. I'll be here. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a strawberry flavored hard seltzer with
Hard
my
seltzer.
RBG glass because we need a little RBG.
Because we're doing judiciary stuff. Judicial stuff.
Yes.
All right. So, what are we talking about tonight, Beth?
What's going on with Trump's indictment?
The indictment of the 45th President of the United States of America.
Yeah.
First of its kind. First of his name. King of all the deplorables. And all that he surveys.
This has been on the brink for a long time. And there were so many other topics we wanted to talk about. But when this went down, we were just like, all right, we got
so many other topics.
So many.
To be honest, so many other topics that I would rather talk about.
I know.
But it's like, you can't talk about this. And I hope the day is going to come soon, hopefully within the next year or two, where we remember Trump. We're like, hey, remember when? And it's, because it's not news and just in your friggin' face.
There are so many other things going on that the news should be covering right now. But they did a whole OJ thing, the OJ car chase thing with him going to...
I saw that.
Ridiculous.
And the leaving was awesome. I thought there were going to be more people out there than that. And it was like a half a block of just like the faithful. And then no one else cared. I mean, but it's New York. And
it's New York. They hate him.
Not only do they hate him, it's like New York people are like, they're over the bullshit. They're over the excitement.
Right,
they're just like, we got Puerto Rican Day Parade. We got the Macy's. We got this ain't it. They're just like, oh, who the hell gonna take off work to go stand out there and...
Especially not when Marjorie Taylor Greene and George Santos are the ones that show up to defend his honor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She had some memorable quotes along this thing. And I'll mention, I don't know if you know about any of them, but she has at least two of them that I like. When I heard them, I sat there and I was just like,
yeah.
Are you
for real?
You can't be. You
She doesn't I'm convinced she doesn't believe half of the shit that she says. She's just trying to be ridiculous. So let's talk about just the facts of the case to start off with, to level set. I'm sure there's nobody who hasn't heard. The problem is when the news media covers this stuff, they really get a lot of shit wrong because they just like to get people angry or get people excited and lots of things are missed. So I did a deep dive into some stuff and I'm going to be linking all my sources below. Unlike the news media, we actually provide sources for you to go fact check it on your own.
I mean, some news media do, but unless there's sources,
yeah. There's a lot of criticism from the armchair lawyers saying the indictment proceeding doesn't allow any cross-examination.
How are we going to cross-examination before a trial?
This is how it works. So essentially what happened was a Manhattan grand jury found him, they indicted him on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. And the way that an indictment works with a grand jury, it's not a fucking trial. We have to get that, because so many people were saying, but his defense was never called. That's a trial. This is not a trial.
The trial hasn't started yet.
Right.
Matter of fact, the trial won't start for close to a year.
I know, it's going to be a while. The grand jury's purpose is to hear the prosecution's evidence, to determine if there's enough there that they believe it should go to trial.
Yeah.
At trial is when Trump's defense can show up and do all the magical things to explain this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
It's not been decided yet whether he is actually going to go out on the stand, but wouldn't it be fun if he pleads the fifth for everything? He finally gets his day in court to defend himself like he's been saying all this time. Yeah. So the grand jury doesn't get to hear the defense because it's not a trial. They make the judgment about whether the prosecution's case sounds feasible enough to bring it to trial.
It's pretty much like, should we be doing this?
Right.
Do we have enough evidence to make a case?
Right. Is it feasible that this could be true?
Yeah.
Is it feasible that there could be an explanation for it? There has to be, and I've heard so many people, Trump supporters, saying they don't have any evidence. Well, you can't bring an indictment without evidence. That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
If you're sitting, and I really hate how people are disparaging the juries.
It's weird that we have to be explaining this.
I know, but
And
it's very important. It's extremely important because so many of the naysayers out there, the ones that are critical of this process, strictly don't know the facts. They don't know how this process works. And once they know how the process works, then their argument shifts to something else. So I think it's worth it just to clear this up.
Goalpost moving.
Yes, exactly. So evidence has to be presented in order to determine if it could go to trial. So they're not necessarily saying they believe the evidence, but they have seen it and they think it's feasible that a case could be built.
We need to argue this.
We need
talk
to
about
argue this out. So I don't like when people disparage the jury because these are people who have been brought in and they have been asked to set aside all of their preconceived notions about the people involved and to make a judgment based on the evidence that they are presented with. So it says a lot. It says a lot about people who, and I've heard many of them say, this jury's biased because it's in New York. They all hate Trump there. If somebody's making an accusation without any credible evidence to support it, they don't know these jurors. They don't know where they came from, who they know, what they know, how they vote. Making an accusation without any evidence says a lot about the person who's making the accusations and not a lot about the people they're accusing. So in this case, saying that the jury has to be biased says a lot about that person who's making the accusation, that they themselves probably shouldn't serve on a jury because they couldn't set aside their partisanship to judge something, based on the merit.
I saw a meme that kind of like summed that whole thing up, and they were just like, he's being accused by like people who are not a jury of his peers because I assume in their mind they believe that like they should have a jury of like billionaires who have their own planes and were previously president of the United States. We should find 12 motherfuckers who fill this like criteria, and then somebody came back and they were just like, well, all of the preschoolers we know are in school.
That's good. I like
we
that.
We couldn't have them leave school for jury duty.
I like that. I like that. It's statute of limitations. This is really important because if I hear one more person say statute of limitations, like the Statue of Liberty, except if I hear one more person say that, my God.
It's 3 T's.
Yes. So if one more person says Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Limitations. I already know that you don't know anything about the law if you're going to say statue. I know this is a mess. So it's statute of limitations, not a statue. Not a statue. For falsifying business records in New York, it's a 5-year statute of limitations. But a couple of things have disrupted that. Number one, COVID. All cases were extended for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
But also
being president.
because of the fact that he wasn't living in New York. There is a part of New York law This is New York Consolidated Laws, CDP Section 207, linked in the show notes. It's basically says if that person is not living in the state, that the statute is tolled. TOLLED. So tolling statutes means that it just gets extended if they're not in the state. So because he was president, he didn't live in New York, but he didn't change his residence yet. He didn't change it to Florida until he left the White House. Right. So because it was still technically New York, he just wasn't a resident, so it got stalled. It's called tolling. And also Cy Vance said that he was going to seek indictment, but Attorney General Bill Barr asked him to stand down. So there's a couple of reasons why this is just happening now, and it didn't happen back when Michael Cohen got indicted. Yes, Michael Cohen went to jail for participating in these same transactions, and he was
which means that a crime was committed.
A crime was committed, and he was indicted in 2018. So this is,
stop. Man, where is the time going?
I know. It's been a while. The time goes really fast when there's a shit show going on around you every day.
That's crazy.
So there is a 34 felony counts. Why not misdemeanors? Because falsifying business records is a felony. It's a misdemeanor by itself. Just falsifying business records.
But in New York.
But if it's used to cover up another crime, then it becomes a felony.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, there's a valid criticism of this case and how the indictment was written, but I want to clear that up too. There's a little caveat here. So there's a question about whether it's feasible to elevate a felony or elevate a misdemeanor to a felony based on the financial transactions being falsified to cover up another crime when he hasn't actually been convicted of that other crime. If Trump hasn't been convicted of campaign finance violations, then how can the DA say that these falsified records were used to cover up that other crime when he's still technically innocent of that other crime? I think it's a valid criticism until you think about some of the other moving parts in this case. So number one, Michael Cohen was already convicted of campaign finance violations. So
we've already established
that a crime was committed by somebody else, and he was doing it on Trump's behalf. Yeah. So that's the caveat. I do think maybe if Bragg had written the language a little bit differently, it might be easier to understand it. And that would be, instead
only
of saying...
Only if you read it like a middle schooler. No, that's so disrespectful to middle schoolers. Only if you read it like a third grade level. Like, I read it and I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Got it.
Well, I'm talking about specifically if somebody hasn't been convicted of the other crime.
That part.
Maybe if he had said it as falsifying business records in an attempt to cover up the violation of another law, I think that's even easier to understand.
Instead of saying of another crime.
Because he hasn't been convicted of that. But violating another law, well, that doesn't really imply guilt or innocence. I launder money to cover up the fact that I got that money by robbing a bank and I was never actually caught robbing that bank. Is it really wrong of them to put in the indictment that I was laundering the money to cover up the fact that I robbed the bank? I think it's pretty clear. But when it's so vague, I think that's when the criticism becomes a little bit more valid. Like, well, cover up another crime. It's not named.
The people who are criticizing the indictments, though, and the charges are not trying to, like, skirt legal issues. They're just trying to be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this to my guy.
Right.
It's not because of legalese and
Yeah. They're not acting in good faith. I would love nothing more than for this to play out and for people to be happy with the result. I know that no matter what happens, somebody's going to be unhappy with the result of it. He is innocent until proven guilty. And everybody deserves the presumption of innocence. Even somebody as much of a shitbag as Donald Trump is, he is presumed innocent at this point. He deserves a fair trial. And I would say the same about anybody.
But this is a weird trial, though, because
why is it weird?
because all of the charges that. So the way I view it is that he's not just a co-conspirator, but like the leader of a crime or a number of crimes that somebody else who was also a conspirator already went to jail for. So to be honest, like to the regular, man walking the street, this is pretty much open and shut. If we convicted him of carrying out the shit that you asked him to carry out and you paid him to carry out, and now we've realized that it was you, both of y'all, fuck y'all.
But that's the thing that has to be proven. A jury has to agree that after listening to the recordings that I've heard, where Michael Cohen actually provided recordings of Trump saying pay in cash, therefore he was having a conversation with Michael Cohen about these transactions. If the jury hears that and believes that, yes, that means that they were conspiring together and that these transactions had no other possible explanation, or that Trump did not have any intent to commit other crimes or to commit campaign finance violations or conspiracy or anything like that, the jury has to agree to that. And now they're going to hear a lot more than what we know.
You know what? I love the talking points of people online who are just like, why do you, besides the fact, let's just, because they like to ignore the fact that Michael Cohen has already been indicted, tried, and convicted of this crime, which Donald Trump is a part of. Right. Because Michael Cohen does not have $120,000 to just go throw at the wind.
Right.
Plus other money. It's not just that. There are other monies. There's like a doorman that's involved. I don't know if you read that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be linking the primary sources below so you can read the actual indictment and the statement of fact. Those will both be in the show notes.
And it's I don't know. It's really weird how they try to I don't know. I don't know if it's because they're saying, why would this rich billionaire who has his own plane and his own this and whatever, why would he need to use campaign money to pay off some porn star to shut her up about fucking him, and because they didn't want him or the information to be marring his campaign or, his lead up to the presidency or whatever. And it's like, the first thing that comes to my mind as a person who thinks rationally is, because they're saying, why would he use campaign funds to do this? And it's like, maybe because he's not a cash billionaire. How about that?
That's exactly what I think too.
Because if I was a cash billionaire, I'd have just been like, hey, shut the fuck up, bitch. But that's not what he did. No. He took money that other people donated for the purposes of campaigning and whatever, and was just like, hey, we finally got $120,000 and we got raw cash. Hey, my guy, use some of this and pay her to shut the fuck up. Right. And I'm like, y'all keep holding on to the fact that he's a billionaire. Yeah. And apparently the IRS and the Southern District of New York and like a bunch of other entities have already realized that he doesn't even have $1 billion. No,
he doesn't.
I don't know why they keep holding on to the idea that they think he does.
Because they think he's special for some reason. And that kind of goes to the thing about, this has never happened to a president before. There have been vice presidents who have been convicted of crimes. There have been Congress people who have been convicted of crimes.
We got ex-Congress people in prison currently.
Yes. So I ask, what is so special about this office, the presidency, that means we can't indict them for crimes if they have committed some? And also,
I'm going to get into some of that later, because I also think that there is some kind of privilege, not necessarily written, but just like socially kind of understood. And I think also on the international stage, regardless of how this pans out, the United States of America has a prior president that is indicted for a fucking crime. That is embarrassing as fuck.
No.
Aren't y'all supposed to be setting an example? That's how the world is thinking.
It is not embarrassing. He is embarrassing. It is not embarrassing.
You don't think it's both?
No, I don't think it is embarrassing for us to say this person
committed a crime and is being indicted, held accountable for it.
He's accused of committing a crime, and we need to hold him accountable and have him answer to that. That is not embarrassing.
I'm not talking about that part. I'm not saying that part is embarrassing. I'm saying the embarrassing part is that we elected and put a criminal in office. That part is embarrassing.
That's debatable because, did he commit the crimes beforehand?
Well, we're going to find out.
We didn't know. Now, people like you and I didn't vote for him because we knew he was a piece of shit. We saw that coming. We saw that coming. It's the people who didn't see it coming that have to account for that
I
within
mean,
their
I
own
really
minds.
did not see the porn star mushroom dick hush
Oh,
money part
oh.
coming.
I could
I
see it
ain't
all.
see it.
You know why I saw it coming? Because he spent so much time in that election cycle in 2016 talking about how Hillary Clinton was going to be tied up in legal battles. Hillary Clinton was going to embarrass us. Hillary Clinton. Now, a person with the record that he has had, I've known about Trump since the 1980s,
You
and
think he
he's
was, like,
always been
projecting?
an
He's
embarrassment. He was projecting. So I saw that coming. Everything he's accusing somebody else of doing, you know damn well he's doing
That
it
sounds
himself.
very narcissistic. Never mind.
Not diagnosing anybody, but
Whatever, dude.
So yeah, so that's pretty much what I needed to say about that. It's just really he is embarrassing us,
Yeah.
not the process itself. This is what we should be doing. This is what makes us not a communist country or a socialist country, is that we actually do hold people accountable and not just let them get away with everything.
And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those meddling fucking kids, because William Barr tried his best to not, which speaks of the corrupt nature of, I don't know, certain circles of people.
This is what the Trump supporters asked for, though. The reason they said they couldn't vote for Hillary is because she was too corrupt, and they were so tired of not holding people accountable
and not
they
draining the swamp,
not draining the swamp. So Trump positioned himself at the very part of the drain that he's the first to be flushed out. You got what you asked for, guys. You just didn't think he was going to be the one to do it.
This is so typical. Like, we've seen this played out in our like regular, normal, non-fake billionaire lives.
Right.
Where, the person who's running their mouths, one in your neighborhood, is the person they come and, lock up for having a meth lab in their backyard.
Exactly.
And it's like, dude, you were the one that's like, we need to be tough on crime while you're cooking up meth. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
It's a lot of projection.
Yeah. So let's talk about this mugshot situation, because there are so many parts of this that require attention, but also like ridicule and just jeering, honestly.
Yeah.
But the mugshot part like stuck out to me because I didn't get into the intricacies of it. Until around the time where it was like, okay, because here's the thing, for me personally, with the indictments and the possibility of an arrest and whatever, was just out there for a while. Mm-hmm. And I never cared for it at all. I didn't, because I'm like, I'm not going to get invested in this and it not happen.
Yeah.
Because I know how, as much as we like to pretend that America isn't corrupt, it's corrupt as shit. Because William Barr blocked previous indictments.
Yeah.
And that was his attorney general. So I'm like, I'm not going to get involved with this until like there's actually movement. Yeah. And when it was like, he started tweeting, I'm going to be arrested and rabble next Tuesday. And it didn't happen that Tuesday. I was just like, see, you're fucking around with me, man.
This is how the media keeps you watching. I mean, they draw you and they keep you watching.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to pay this attention until somebody says there is an indictment, there is a warrant for arrest. So when that finally did happen, I was just like, okay, now let's read some shit.
Right.
Because now this makes sense and I'm not going to waste my time.
Right. Now you actually know a little bit.
So I'm going through the procedures. I'm looking at the facts of the case, just like you are, or whatever. And then there was this little like offshoot, like, will he or will he not have his, as Fox News put it, his photo taken?
Oh, damn it!
I'm sorry. Did I do something?
You always do that.
What do I do?
I said that was going to be what I was going to talk about.
Damn it! I'm so sorry.
You always fucking do that.
My fault. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. But go ahead, Beth. Shit. But it was kind of split, because right-wing media outlets were saying what you said, something about photo taking, and then left-wing whatever was saying, mugshot and rabble. There's this, I can't remember the name of this publication that I read, and it gives you like left-wing talking points, right-wing talking points, and then like down the middle. Yeah. It's on Instagram. I can't remember the name. Yeah. But that's where I saw it the first time. it was just like, rabble rabble photo versus mugshot versus, whether he has to get there's another thing, like if he's gonna get fingerprinted, and it's like, well, the state of New York has a law saying he has to get fingerprinted.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the fingerprint has to happen, but the middle of that same publication I was telling you about, saying that the mugshot isn't like a must thing.
Yeah.
There's no law that says the picture has to be.
Which I never knew that before. So
never knew that before. I'm saying it now, or when you read
I
it?
never knew that before this whole thing with Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just like, so the state of New York has a law that says the fingerprint has to be taken, but the picture is, I don't know. The picture is for the sake of publicizing this would-be criminal because they're being arrested. I don't want to say criminal because innocent until proven guilty, but that if they were a flight risk or they need to, plaster his picture everywhere, it's like, okay, well, now we need to look out for him at the airports and at freaking Denny's and IHOP and wherever the hell truck stops or whatever.
Yeah.
But the argument for him, the first argument for him not taking a mugshot or having his photo taken is that he's widely known across the planet. So having a picture taken isn't going to help anything.
Right.
The purpose of a mugshot is so that if there's an escape or a runaway or bail or whatever, people will be like, oh, we're looking for this guy. Everybody knows a fucking...
It's a valid point.
Yeah, everybody knows what Trump looks like, so why are we taking the...
Right.
And then turn to the side and whatever. It's like, we know this guy with the fucking comb over. We got it. Yeah.
That's fun.
But apparently the Trump campaign and Trump world were banking on and hoping for him to get a mugshot. And when I was reading that, I was like, why? That doesn't make sense. They're going to have him in the fucking orange or whatever he's in. And, like I said, face forward, turn to the side. I'm like, that's not going to make their guy look really good.
Right.
Until I started getting involved.
Right.
And they had plans to monetize this.
Of course, because he's not actually a billionaire.
I was like, wait, what? How are you going to monetize a mugshot? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
How can you possibly monetize a mugshot?
Oh, they would.
And they started, before he even got to Manhattan, it was about relating his arrest and mugshot situation to other previous high profile criminals.
Right.
And they're like, this is going to be the greatest mugshot ever. More popular than Al Capone.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wait, what? How did you
They're really good at spin.
How did you spin that? That's
really
fucking crazy.
They're
I don't
really good at
understand.
spin.
So they were like, it's going to be the most popular mugshot in the history of mugshots. It's going to be the most popular photograph in the history of photographs.
Please tell me that Sean Spicer was going to be the one to announce that with a big giant suit on.
No, probably Stephen Miller. But when I
think my joke went over your head.
I got it. I do. I just didn't want to buy into it while we're trying to do this. But so that was the thing. They were planning to monetize it. It was supposed to be billboards, T-shirts, gift cards. The memes were gonna be out of fucking control. Just everything with this mugshot. So, and they were gonna use that to popularize the thing, plus also downplay the seriousness of it.
Right.
To say, okay, well, this is the greatest picture ever. And apparently they were supposed to have signings of it.
Oh my God.
Donald Trump was supposed to sign the mugshots, and you will be able to buy it from the Trump website or whatever, and then they'll mail it to you. I was like,
they're so messed up in the head.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then the icing on the cake is your bestie, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't remember where I saw this video. I remember if she was in a car.
She was in a car.
It was in a car? Oh, you saw it too? Mm-hmm. And she was just like, there are other people who have been arrested unjustly, just like Donald Trump. Just to name a few, Nelson Mandela, Jesus Christ. I was like, what?
I can't.
What did this horse face bitch say? How did you really put Nelson Mandela, who, if you believe in the Bible, is not in the same category at all as Jesus Christ. So first of all, those two people are just not, there's no Venn diagram.
No.
And but then she put Donald Trump in there and just made this hot soup of these are the three greatest people to ever be arrested. Donald Trump, Jesus Christ, and Nelson Mandela. I swear to God, the other two people, if both of them did, if yeah, are rolling in their fucking graves.
Yes, yes.
How dare you?
I know. And during this particular week too. I mean this.
Oh, it's Easter week.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Now,
God.
in that same interview, I just would like to point out she had to. It seemed a little dangerously close to her saying something she shouldn't have said. I mean,
Yeah.
she obviously shouldn't have compared Jesus and Nelson Mandela to Donald
Donald
Trump.
goddamn Trump.
But it was dangerously close to being very much worse because she had to make it a point that Jesus was killed by the Romans.
Yeah, she almost slipped.
She almost slipped.
Because we know who the right often blames for the death of Jesus.
I just
And man,
was a
she
little
was like,
uncomfortable.
and Jesus was killed by the Romans.
It's just, it made me really uncomfortable when I was like, what's she going to say? She filtered herself.
Do you remember? I really don't remember. Who was interviewing her?
I don't know who that was.
Oh.
I've heard about rumors. I'm not going to repeat them here, but I've heard rumors about who that was.
Man, I saw it and I was like, the balls on this horse.
Yes.
How do you compare Nelson Mandela,
It's
Jesus
disgusting.
Christ, and Donald
It's
Trump?
disgusting.
So the people in charge, Bragg and other people decided we are not going to have a mugshot taken, mostly for the reason that I outlined before, that he's popular enough that we
sense.
don't need to take a picture. But
Sure.
there was also the addition of we're not going to help fund this fuckery.
Yes. We're not going to give him the satisfaction.
We're not.
Yeah.
This whole greatest mugshot in history, we're not going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I think when they got wind of it,
Yeah.
they were just like, nah,
Yeah. Good
we're
for
not
them.
we're not taking a fucking picture.
Good for
Fuck this
them.
and we're out.
Good for them.
So, and you know what? I kind of saw the disappointment on his face because I'm sure he was looking forward to the 400 million he was about to make off the pictures and the signings
Yeah.
and the t-shirts and the billboards
Oh
and the
my
whatever
God.
else. And it was just like, aren't you going to take my
Right.
picture? No, sir, just keep moving forward. What? Ah. Biscuits.
There was something really funny that happened. I'm going to play the clip here. It's like a slow-mo clip of him walking out to go into the courtroom for his actual arraignment and his
Yes.
hearing and everything. What was really funny is there were two cops that kind of opened the door. They didn't hold it open for him.
I saw it. It almost hit him and he was...
He had to open the door
Aw.
himself.
Don't even
I laugh
lie.
at that because he's a man who's used to having doors open for him. And it was just...
Wasn't he like the Law and Order president too?
Oh,
Aren't
right.
cops supposed to just like reach around? I don't know.
So I do think that him not having a mugshot is kind of funny. Now I'm going to say what I was going to say earlier.
Please, I'm so sorry. One day I'll get it right.
Well, sometimes I wonder if me telling you specifically,
Triggers. I'm so sorry.
because we have to clue them in now because we've said before that we don't share a lot about our talking points before because we don't really want to know too much about what the other's going to say. But I literally texted him and said, I've got my first talking point. I can't wait to say this. And then, I'll tell you what it is in a second. And then yesterday I said, so long as you don't say the thing about this,
I think
you can talk about the mugshot.
I think you incepted me. I think it's Inception. And just fucking, and then drinks don't help. So.
Yeah, it is not the first time it's happened. So I legit have to, like, right before we start recording, I have to say, don't say this.
All right.
So the thing I was going to say, the first talking point that I clued him in on was about the mugshot. But I didn't know everything that he just said. I had no idea. And that makes a lot of sense about why they didn't take his mugshot.
Yeah.
But the day that the indictment was, or that the jury voted to indict him, I had to watch Fox News, CNN, MSNBC to see what they were all saying about this. And so I stopped on Fox News and watched for a while. Brett Baer, if it were anybody else, they would have called it a mugshot. But for Donald Trump, they were saying he was going to have his photo taken.
Picture taken. Have his
Yes.
portrait.
Painted portrait. And then Mark Levin said the same thing. Dude looked depressed as fuck. But he was just like, he's going to go down and get fingerprinted. He's going to have his photo taken. It's a fucking mugshot. That's what they would call it for anybody.
Your mug.
It's a mugshot. That's the vernacular.
Mean
that's
mug.
the colloquial term.
That's where it came from.
So to me, it was just very glaringly obvious how
Yeah.
they were spinning this. So you talk about Trump spinning shit.
Oh my God.
Fox News, this is how they spin. This is the manipulation that goes on. The language that they use to describe things.
Yeah.
Using the term mugshot is so ubiquitous. That's what everybody calls it, pretty much.
But not for the high and mighty, though.
Right. But when Paul Pelosi was arrested, Fox News called it a mugshot all fucking day long. So this is the subtleties that creep into the news media, how they manipulate. It's the tone that they use, the words that they use to spin it away in your mind.
And it's on purpose. It's purposeful and direct too, because
it
of
is.
course a meeting was held. Listen, we're not gonna use the word mugshot. Everybody on this fucking, whether it was a Teams meeting or a circulated email, a memo. Hey,
Whatever.
we're not using mugshot. We're using
having
photo.
Well, so the evening shows did actually say mugshot, but it started off with them saying he was having his picture taken.
Oh gosh. All right, so the how this is gonna play out with the campaign season.
Yeah.
Now, before I get into the campaign season, first of all, the campaign season doesn't start until next year, February. Well, no, campaign season can start whenever it wants.
Whenever it wants, yeah.
But the GOP, their first kickoff for their campaign season is February 13 of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is there an event happening that day or something?
I think it's like the lead up to the Iowa, whatever usually happens in Iowa first and all that.
Yeah, because
whatever.
they're still using Iowa first.
Yeah. So February 13 is like on their, it was the word I'm looking for, sorry, calendar. Their calendar, their first event of next year regarding campaigning and whatever is February 13.
Got it.
So, but before that, there's a number of things that need to happen this year. There are specific dates. This year, you have 3 important dates for this indictment, excuse me. So, the first one, I believe, is in April, where the prosecution has to present all of the evidence that they have to the defense. And that involves written statements and emails and phone calls, recordings, whatever. And that's like the first round. And then they can use that the evidence to try to make an appeal to throw the case out. And then there's a second round of that. I'm not using the correct legal terms here, but there's a second round of that that's going to happen in August.
Okay.
And then pretty much it's the same thing, but a higher level, where it's like the jury has said that these things are important. Now we're going to let you look at it. And then the defense at the time can be like, hey, you can't use this, or you shouldn't use this, or we should show this, throw this out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That happens in August. And then the last one, so there's 2 of those, and there's something else. But then December, I want to say 14th. It might be 4th or 14th. There's a 4 in there. I'm drinking, so I don't care.
I think it's December 4th.
It's the 4th? Right. And that's the second time Donald Trump has to show back up physically in court.
Yes.
Right. And so at that point, I believe, I don't remember what happens at that point, but the defense lawyer was arguing that there's too much of a security situation. There's roads that need to be blocked and shut down or whatever. So can you make it so that my client doesn't have to physically show up? And the judge was just like, nah, we'll deal with the security debacle. We'll deal with whatever the fuck
He doesn't get special treatment.
He's like, no, he has to show up. And I think the quote that he had was just like, if there's anything that comes up randomly where this is a huge situation where he can't show up, at that time you can check with me. But as of now, he's showing up.
Good.
Yeah. So
Good.
So what I want to point out is December 14th, as you confirmed, is 2 months away from February 13th.
Yes.
At that So who was it? I think the prosecution is arguing for the beginning of the trial in January.
Okay.
So the beginning of the trial is in January, and we know this is going to be freaking dragged out.
Of course.
Right. The trial is going to be happening in the middle of the campaign season.
Yes.
Now, a couple of things need to happen, or will, I guess, contribute to the bullshit that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, let me say that as of right now, the contributions to Donald Trump has increased by 7 million since the arrest.
I know.
7 fucking million.
I know.
And the polling is saying that his popularity has like gone up in terms of his, you know, the GOP or Republicans' preference for him being the nominee. Gone up. I think it's at like 38%. And the next closest person is Ron DeSantis at 29%. That's a huge, that's not monkey money. That's
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
So, but what pundits and experts are saying is that depending on how long this takes, whatever, each step of the way, and because there's more indictments coming.
Okay.
I'm gonna just throw this in here just as a little cupcake.
Sure. I think so.
He has a rape trial indictment that's pending for April. And so what people are saying is that, yes, this first one might have shot him up a little bit, shot the money up, shot the popularity up or whatever. But over time, people are going to get indictment fatigue. And they're going to be like, this fucking bullshit again. Why does he keep doing this shit?
Yeah.
And then the numbers are just going to start falling off. Which, if DeSantis is smart, all he has to do is just shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Just don't say shit. Just wait. Just wait it out.
That's exactly what he should do.
But by the time their calendar starts February 13, he's going to be dealing with this indictment, obviously.
Yeah.
Possibly the one from April with the rape for I think the woman, or one of the two women, one's an author. Can't remember. Yeah. So dealing with that, and it's going to be like, he's in court every fucking week for the next 2 years, year and a half at least. You can't campaign, and you definitely cannot win the presidency.
Right.
And so I know the right.
We'll never say never.
Yeah, I know.
It is America.
I know the right is looking at this like, you know, oh, this is like, what's the word they're looking at? Friggin' sabotage,
political
and
persecution.
Political persecution or whatever. And it's like, you know, oh, they're doing this, whatever. It's like, who is the they?
Right. Exactly. And
who is the they?
So let's call out the obvious. Campaign finance violations is purely something that happens only to politicians because it's a political process.
I don't have campaign finance.
Yeah. Politicians run campaigns. Therefore, the people who violate campaign finance laws would be politicians. So, of course, this is political in nature, but it's not partisan.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the difference. That's so weird. So this is poised to drag out. And this, like I said, this is only 34 counts.
Yeah.
Of the first indictment.
Yeah.
And I believe there's 2 more indictments that are pending. There's a rape one in April. That's for sure set for April. And then there's the Georgia election fuckery where he called the
Raffensperger.
Right.
Georgia
And he was just
Secretary
like,
of
you need to find me 11,000 votes or else. So that's criminal. And there's that happening. So starting 2024, which is election year, you're going to be in 3 different courts for 3 different indictments. Yeah. And the thing about indictments is this. It's like, what do they call it again? Daisy chain. No, they get daisy chain. Because it's like, once you get the first indictment, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to be like, well, this motherfucker obviously a criminal.
Yeah.
And it just rolls on downhill.
Yep.
So I promise you, mark my goddamn words, the next 2 sets of indictments, however many counts there are, they're coming. They are on the fucking way.
Totally.
So there's no way he can be in court in Georgia, 2 different courts in New York, because I think one is Manhattan and one is Southern District or whatever the fuck, and being like campaigning and, you know, talking bad about and calling people. How is he going to debate?
I'm laughing because remember how he was criticizing Joe Biden for running from his basement?
I don't know his,
What goes around comes around, buddy. He's
how
gonna
he
have
gonna
to
run
campaign.
from the courtroom?
He's gonna have to campaign on Zoom because he's gonna be in the courtroom the whole time. It's karma, man.
I think, you know what? If he was smart, he's already been president. He has to be in the record books. There'll be a portrait of him somewhere in the White House, begrudgingly, whatever. Just be like, you know what? I don't want to be a fucking president. Fuck off. But I don't know where he finds, like, is he really still trying to run with all this going on?
Yeah.
Yikes.
In the mind of a person like him.
So that's what you have to look forward to between now and January when the trial starts and February 13 when GOP campaign shit kicks off. It's going to be a really interesting year politically because I don't think any other country or time in history has this ever happened where you have a prominent political campaigner, like the front runner, in 3 different courts. He's gonna be in court in Georgia. That's a fact.
Well, yeah.
The phone call is recorded. We've all heard it.
I wonder the timing of Benjamin Netanyahu because he was indicted on,
Oh yeah.
and then he ran for election. I don't know the timing of it though, so it's possible he might come close to that. If he was going through court proceedings while running for office. I don't know. I'll have to check on the timing.
That's true. I did forget about that.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I know. I don't know if I feel sorry for him. This is just so it goes to show it. If we truly were a communist country, like some people on Fox News have been saying, "Oh, this is communist, and Donald Trump Jr. has been saying over and over again, this is a communist thing." If that were true, number one, Trump would have definitely had his mugshot taken. Number two, he would be in solitary confinement right now. He would not see the light of day.
Yeah.
Number three, he wouldn't be able to run for re-election because of the fact of number two, he'd be sitting in solitary confinement.
And then his political opponent would just be like goading and celebrating and whatever. And to be honest, as much as I don't really like Biden at all, Biden he hasn't said shit.
No, he hasn't.
Smartly. He's
Yes.
just like, what? I don't know.
It's not his circus.
Because if he does say something towards it, then oh my God, the news cycle will be like, you're trying to lock him up so he doesn't run. It's like,
Yeah.
and the truth is, if I were Biden, it'd be like, I already beat him when he was free.
I know.
I can beat him when I'm locked up. Like, I don't fuck.
And that's why I am not worried about Trump raising money. I'm not worried about him.
They keep giving him money though.
I know, but I'm not worried because he is the only president who has lost the popular vote twice.
Been fucking, what's the word? Impeached twice.
Yes, he's twice impeached, but he literally, no, I'm just speaking specifically to his popularity. He lost the popular vote twice. And you said it, the polls show he's got 38% support. Ain't no president winning with 38%. And those are the diehard people, not necessarily even the ones that would actually go vote for him. So he can continue this whole charade. Have at it, dude, because you ain't going to win. I'm not worried about him winning because his supporters that were on the fence, many of them have been like, peace, I am out of here. This guy is a train wreck.
Wow.
The supporters of his that are still with him are loud. They are loud.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
But they are not the majority.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, Jesus
She's
Christ.
She's just trying to be his vice president.
And Nelson Mandela.
Well, I do have some things I want to get off my chest, speaking of elections.
Okay.
The GOP has doubled down and probably tripled down on the notion that suppressing Hunter Biden's laptop on Twitter before the 2020 election equates to election influence. That's what they have said. I disagree.
Hunter Biden wasn't running for anything.
I know that. But the allegations from people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr., Donald Trump himself, all these talking heads that are all about Hunter Biden. Jim Jordan has said it as well. That the suppression of Hunter Biden's laptop story coming out was influencing the election because they claim if people had known about the laptop, which I still don't think exists, if they had known about this story, they wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden. Which
I'm sorry,
I don't think
those
is
are two
true.
different people.
I know they are, but this is just go with me. Just hold your opinion for a minute.
I'm going.
Okay, so I disagree with them because I don't think that you can truly say if somebody heard about the story that they would not have voted for Joe Biden. You don't know that, but this is their claim. So let's just go with that. They also have to admit that Trump suppressing the story about him and the porn star leads to election influence. If you say it about Joe Biden, you got to say it about Donald Trump.
Fair.
So I disagree with their logic, but this is their claim.
Yeah.
They say Biden, if we had known, people wouldn't have voted for him. I still would have voted for him because I can make the delineation that you did that Hunter Biden is a different person not running for office.
Yeah.
But
I
if
do
they're
I
going
do
to
I do a
say-
lot of shit that my dad doesn't like or approve of.
Right.
Vote for my dad. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly. Exactly. This is the problem that Republicans tend to have is that they make these wild claims and accusations.
Yeah.
And the universe just has this way of being like, okay, I see where you're going. Let's just flip it around. Mirror comes right back in their face. It happens all the time. So if they had not made that wild claim that suppressing Hunter Biden's laptop meant that Joe Biden got more votes than he would have, well then, okay, so that kind of makes the claim in the Manhattan District Attorney's favor to say that suppressing the story about himself means that he influenced the election that otherwise people wouldn't have voted for him. So like they need to stop making these wild claims because it's just going to hurt them in the
Here's
end.
the thing though. It's not like X on one side equals Y on one side.
Right.
Because I know for a fact that even if the story had come out that he paid a porn star hush money and he had an affair and he has a mushroom dick, whatever the fuck, evangelicals will still vote for him
They would have still voted for him.
because they're his
Yes.
he's their Jesus.
Yes, exactly.
So, I don't think it's in their favor to make that argument.
It's
I think
not.
really they should just shut the hell up.
They should. And he should have just let the story come out because there were people who were never going to vote for Hillary no matter what.
No matter what.
And these people are still making excuses for Trump all these years later.
Yeah.
So he was done to try to pay these people
I
off.
promise you, I don't think he would have lost 3% of the votes or the people who voted for him because they're going to be like, he's Donald Trump, he's a superstar, he's a celebrity,
Yeah.
he's a billionaire. He obviously has to cheat on his
Of
wife with a
course.
porn star. That's
Yeah,
that's part and parcel of being all of those
This
things.
is part of being the elites, right? I mean, that's what they claim.
That's not new. We know he does
Right.
that every week. That's
We-
what he does
we
on
knew that in-
Thursdays.
we knew that in the 1980s.
Yeah, that's what he does, whatever.
Donald Trump was a joke in the 1980s. I remember that. I was alive back then.
It was-
People made fun of him for being trashy, for cheating on all his wives. We all knew this.
Cheating on his wife and then marrying the person he cheated on his wife with.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
It
but
is.
that's what I'm saying. It's a weird argument because
It
it's like
is.
that's not gonna that wouldn't have. They really need to shut up about that because they're
Yeah.
not making a case
They're actually just making it easier for the DA to make his case.
about election interference.
Yes.
Or suppression, rather.
Yes, exactly. They also, we mentioned earlier how the Trump voters, the ones from 2016 and from 2020 and today still talk about draining the swamp and pushed hard to convict Hillary Clinton of crimes, to convict Bill Clinton of crimes, to convict Joe Biden of crimes, large and small, because they were tired of white collar crime going unpunished. These same people are now saying, this isn't a big deal. Why are you wasting time trying this case? It's just, fraudulent business record, not that big a deal. Like literally, you same people were saying that we don't prosecute these people enough for this big and small crimes. Mm-hmm. The people in Wall Street, they never get sent to jail for anything. We all know they're cooking the books and you never take them to jail. You never prosecute them. Again, be careful what you ask for because the universe is just throwing it right back at you saying this, you asked for it, I'm giving it to you, and y'all are acting like fucking victims right now. Trump is on this victimhood tour.
It's so
Oh my
weird. It's so weird.
God.
How do y'all go from fuck your feelings
Yeah.
to I'm a victim.
Right.
How you go from snowflake
Yeah.
to I'm being persecuted?
Right.
Fuck yeah.
Every
I'm
speech.
I don't have the energy to be a part of this.
Every speech he gives, it's all just like
They're trying to kill me. It's like if you're
my
such a badass, just badass over it, bro.
That's what I would do if I weren't guilty of these crimes. I'd be like, say whatever the fuck you want. I don't
Badass
care.
over it, bro.
I'll walk. I don't care.
The weirdest thing about this, though, is so wild. If you had committed a crime, any crime, in the United States of America, and the judge was just like, these are the dates that these are the things that need to happen on these dates, and on this date, you need to come back and face whatever, and trial is going to be sometime around this time, whatever. If you, Beth, went outside and got on a microphone or got on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever and was just like, that judge is a piece of shit. That judge and his husband or her husband or whatever the fuck is a piece of shit. And they donated to Staney's Range Rover fund, rebel, yada. The judge would just drag you back in the court and be like, you're stupid as fuck. This is contempt of the court. You're going to jail immediately. And we're keeping you there because you're stupid as fuck.
Yes.
The night after Donald Trump left New York, flew back to Mar-a-Lago, he had a friggin', I wouldn't call it a camp. It wasn't a rally. It was more of just like a press conference type of situation.
Yeah. Press conference.
And he started talking all kinds of shit about the judge. He was just like, this judge is anti-Trump. He's a Trump hater. He was on another case where they tried me and he didn't recuse himself. Matter of fact, his daughter worked on the, what was her name? Kamala Harris campaign. And they're all Trump haters. The whole family, whatever. And somehow, by this fucking stars, the judge didn't drag him back to New York and throw him in jail. This is privilege that is unprecedented. I have never seen this ever. Like, matter of fact, you can't even talk about a judge on the street randomly, not even having a case.
Right.
Because they would tell you, watch your fucking mouth.
Right.
You will go to jail.
Yeah.
Judges are literally the personification of the highest law in the land.
Yes. Yes.
There's no other way about it. That is the truth. That is it.
That's why the accusations of this being a communist plot against him are so ridiculous. Because look at the leniency he's been given.
Listen, if you go to court for a traffic violation, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you have a judge named Bailey. Let's say Judge Bailey, right?
Yeah.
And he calls you up and he gives you a chance to speak and whatever, and you're just like, sir, I don't think he's gonna be like, hold the fuck up. Who the fuck you calling sir?
Right.
You address me as your honor.
Yes.
And if you do it one more time, you will be in held of contempt of the court.
Right.
And the bailiff is gonna drag you off.
Exactly.
Address me as my fucking title. Don't play around.
Yep.
How you get to a press conference and start talking shit about the homie, his daughter, and his family, and you are not dragged back to New York and thrown in jail when everybody else in the United States of America would be sitting in jail right now eating fucking mashed potatoes and peas? I don't understand.
And reportedly, Bragg even mentioned to the judge, I'd like for you to address the whole thing using language online. And the judge was like, for everybody in here, this is allegedly what was said, to everybody in the courtroom, don't say anything that would be embarrassing or, incite any kind of
violence, or upsetting, or.
But apparently, Trump thinks that doesn't apply to him.
Flew to home and held a press conference, and not only that, before he left, the judge said that exactly the things that you just said, but what was it? There was a specific term that he used. I can't remember. But it was something like, obviously the incite violence part, but don't speak about the case in a way where you would want to sway jury or public opinion or whatever.
Right.
And he went and did exactly that. That was days ago. That is not today. And right now, Donald Trump is not in jail.
I know.
I promise you, anybody who's ever been in front of a judge, and I've been in front of a judge for a traffic violation. I'm not, I promise you, if you go in front of any judge and they didn't have their coffee this morning, or they had a bad day, or they didn't get fucking sex last night, or whatever the fuck, right? Try your luck. Try it. Try your luck one time. I promise you, you'll be in jail. And you go, matter of fact, worse if it's like a Friday, and oh boy, you're gonna be sitting in there till Tuesday. And that's legal in America.
Right, I know.
Don't disrespect the fucking judge.
They have a lot of power.
You better come in meek and humble and penitent and respectful and begging. Your Honor, I wasn't aware. I'm so sorry. Your Honor, if it pleases the court. Like, this is the terms that you have to use, right? Am I making this up?
No, you're not.
Yeah. And this dude...
Not that I've spent a lot of time in front of a judge or anything, but yes, you are correct.
I may have. But... and this dude goes and holds a press conference and starts talking. He called the judge a name, and then what's his name? Eric Trump, and that's the one that like no one's proud of.
Yep. Donald Trump Jr.
Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, they posted the picture of his daughter, like on their Truth Social or their Twitter or whatever, and then immediately the judge. And not just the judge, I don't remember how to pronounce it. I know his first name is Juan, Your Honor Juan. Mm-hmm. I think it's Machen or something like that.
I don't know.
They've said that they've received dozens, not hundreds, but dozens of threats, death threats and otherwise, since to not just the judge's family, the daughter, extended family, and specifically the chamber, and also Bragg, his office. They've received death threats and other threats and whatever else. And it's like, under no circumstances, Beth, I promise you, you will never you will never say something that will incite violence against a judge and not be locked up for 6 months.
I know. It's insane.
And the thing is, if you are held in contempt of court, how long you stay in jail is up to the judge. I know. Legally. I know. Like, he can just be like, you know what, you're fucking around 4 years. Mm-hmm. And there's no... Not even the Supreme Court can be like, that's a little bit too much. No, they'd just be like, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You fucked around, and now you're finding out. And somehow, Donald Trump is not finding out, and it is driving me fucking crazy how they can post a picture of this man's daughter, get death threats and whatever, and not being held accountable, but still... his supporters are saying that he's being persecuted.
I know.
Persecuted?
It's really
like, let me go to court and not sit like let me go to court and be like, Mr. Brown, I promise. He gonna be like, I'm sorry, what was that? Mr. Bailey, what?
Yeah.
Lock him up. Just drag him out right now.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous, the amount of crying I'm seeing going on. I mean, he is being afforded every advantage. Every advantage.
I don't understand it. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Are they scared to lock him the fuck up?
I think they know he holds a lot of influence. I think at this point, he's painted himself into this corner where they know that no matter what they do, he will come out swinging, and he's got a whole mob behind him. So I think that they need to be very careful, or they're trying to be very careful about what, when, and how they slap charges on him.
Yeah, because
for anything.
the analysts are saying that the reason why he's doing these things and taking these risks, and his sons and whoever are posting these things, they're trying to get to the point where they're like, this judge needs to recuse himself from the case. Mm-hmm. And apparently this judge is just like, fuck y'all.
Yeah, exactly. The judge is not playing along, and that's why they're probably so frustrated.
So they've beefed up security.
Yeah.
They've got, whether it's the FBI or CIA or whatever else on this person in the chamber, at this person's house, on motorcades or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, this is not one of those cases where, the UPS is going to deliver a parcel and like shoot up the judge.
You never know.
That ain't going to happen with this guy.
You never know.
Manhattan is real different.
Never say never.
They would have to get real Russian before that happens.
You don't think they have connections?
Trump? Mm. Yes, I guess he could. But like Putin is kind of tied up right now.
Well, yeah. So, kind of along these lines of how his supporters are reacting to all of this stuff, I want to talk about. Wait, hang on. Before I dive into my last talking point, you mentioned Rebel Rebel. He played that song. It's a David Bowie song. He played that song before his little press conference.
Oh, he did.
Do you know the story behind that song?
I don't.
They can't be this stupid, but I think they are.
You know, hubris, man. It's crazy.
That song is pretty much like a trans anthem. The first couple lines are something like, and I can't remember how it goes, but basically like how your mom can't tell if you're a boy or a girl because, like, seriously, they can't be that stupid. They're either playing a huge...
It's 5D chess.
They're either playing some massively fucked up, like pulling the wool over people's eyes of all of their supporters and just trolling all of them, or they are legitimately so stupid that they chose a trans anthem song at his press conference. Like, they cannot be that stupid. I just had to say that.
No, I wonder if there's like a trans person on staff that like trolled the fuck out of him.
It's possible.
Whereas it's like, hey, what song should he come out to? Or whatever. And it's like, I know.
Rebel.
America, you are so entertaining. I've lived in many countries. I've never been this entertained by politics in my life.
I just cannot believe. I cannot believe it. I just had to say that. I'm so sorry that I took that segue. So the last thing I want to talk about is the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Versus the court of the Senate and the House of Representatives opinion versus an actual court.
Okay.
So only one of those is truly a legal system, a legal process that holds any weight. He finally gets his day in court to defend himself. For this case, for any future cases. I'm assuming he's going to plead the fifth. But it's really, so many people have opinions about this, about whether he's guilty, whether he's innocent, whether he's going to get off on the charges, whether he's going to be thrown in prison, all this kind of shit. It doesn't really matter because the court of public opinion is the loudest. That's what we have on news media every single night. That's what these people who have no law degree are talking about.
Yeah.
And people who believe that he's being persecuted for political reasons. People who believe that he's never done a thing wrong in his life. All that kind of shit. But a lot of them are saying, from what I've seen many, many conversations between left and right people. And it seems like the resounding theme amongst a lot of his supporters is... You keep trying to go after him and nothing has stuck so far, so this isn't going to stick either. And then when you dig a little deeper, like, well, what do you mean? He's not really been held accountable for anything. And they're like, well, the two impeachments or whatever. And it's like, that was a political process. That is not a legal process. So that
was Senate and House.
It's Senate and House.
Didn't even have a judge.
Yeah, and so when we're talking about a purely political process of whether he's going to stay in the presidency or not, that is not a court of law, and neither is the court of public opinion. The actual court of law is what matters. And when we're talking about even the political process of impeachment, there have been other politicians who have been thrown out of office before because of being convicted of crimes. And some of the Trump supporters are saying the founding fathers never intended. I don't know where they even get this notion from, but they do like
they can speak for dead people all the time.
I know. They try to say that the founding fathers never intended for a president to be actually charged with crimes because it's embarrassing to the country and all that kind of shit.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine. And here's how my mind works. If I hear somebody say an accusation like that, the founding fathers never intended, I'm going to go fucking research that shit. And so I did. The first congressman to be jailed while in office was in 1798, when the founding fathers were still alive.
Damn, that was 200 plus years ago.
So if the founding fathers were still alive at that time, it was very early when the country was, it was when George Washington had just left the office. John Adams was president in 1798.
Is his middle name Quincy?
No, that was his son.
Ah.
So if John Adams was president, George Washington was still alive. You would think if they had a problem with that, they would have said something. They didn't, because it was legal. He violated and this is Matthew Lyon of Kentucky. He was the first congressman to be sentenced to jail while in office, 1798, for violating the Alien and Sedition Acts, which John Adams was really big on prosecuting people for that.
Didn't we have a bunch of seditionists a year ago, 2 years,
2 years
ago?
ago? Yeah, I think so.
Matter of fact, Josh Hawley, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the current Speaker of the House.
Right.
All of them should be fucking jailed for the same shit that motherfucker was jailed for.
Is that there is absolutely nothing.
There's precedent.
There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution or elsewhere that would back up the notion that the presidency is different. And I mentioned before, we've had vice presidents who have been indicted for crimes. Spiro Agnew was one of them very recently during the Nixon administration. So there's so much precedent to say that congresspeople, vice presidents, secretaries of state, secretaries of defense, Caspar Weinberger during the Reagan administration, he was also indicted for crimes. So all these people at every level of government have been indicted for crimes. Why not a president? There is absolutely nothing that makes that person special.
I do really believe that is honestly just hubris. Because as a logical thinking person, and I do like to think I'm logical, and not just me, my friends have said it to my face, as I'm probably one of the most logical people they've known.
Sure.
If I know that I have a bunch of skeletons in my closet and I do, and I've committed crimes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I would not run for office, because we have a saying where I'm from. I don't know if it translates to American English or whatever. The higher a monkey climbs, the more he's exposed.
Yes, that's true.
Why the fuck would I be like, hey guys, look at me, vote for me, let me get this office, knowing that I'm a goddamn criminal?
You gotta accept that fate when it comes to you. And some politicians have done that in the past. They've had a lot of skeletons in their closet. Gary Hart was one of them. He was a great presidential candidate. He had an affair, and it was found out, and he resigned, or he withdrew from the race. And to this day, a lot of people say he still would have probably been the winner, and he probably would have been a good president, but he accepted that fate.
Yeah.
He was hoping nobody would find out, but when people found out, he was like, all right, bye-bye.
Fucked up.
If he had just held on a couple more years, or maybe he would have been the first to set the trend that, Bill Clinton was like, sure, whatever, I'm a womanizer. And Donald Trump's like, so I've cheated on some wives. So, yeah, you have to kind of accept that fate. If you have skeletons in your closet, you accept that maybe they'll come out someday, and you deal with it as it comes.
I will never run for anything public as long as I live.
And that's your choice. And that's what a lot of other people have chosen as well.
Because I really can't handle. I couldn't.
I couldn't handle it either. So, I mean.
When shit started to come out, I'd have to just be like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me right there on the video. What the?
I don't want to know.
Me neither.
All right. I think we pretty much covered everything we needed to.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well then tell these people how they can reach us.
All right. So we are on all major social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also have a TikTok. And
we have a TikTok?
Yes, we do.
For how long? Because this is getting banned soon.
I want to do a whole episode about TikTok. I don't think it's getting banned.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're also on any platform where you stream the podcast. So just check us out there.
Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, Amazon Music.
Everything.
Yeah, we're on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Patreon as well.
Yeah. So for those who are still paying for Patreon, we appreciate you. We love you. You're awesome. I literally just paid the fucking bill this month for the dissemination of this podcast, and you paid for it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. But Patreon is where we give back to all the people who give to us. You can get hoodies. You can get T-shirts. You can get the chance to ask a question and have it answered on our podcast. You can get access to our Discord, where you can ask a question or see the topics that we're going to talk about before we even get to sit here. There are other much more elaborate situations, I guess we could call it. You can come here, you can bartend for us, we can take you to dinner, we can have you on the show, etc. All of those are at patreon.com/mixedpolitics.
Yep.
To our analysts, pundits, and experts, cheers. And we're still doing this, and it's awesome.
All right.
And for the people who are at Patreon, we tonight will be doing an extra bonus footage, and Beth is going to talk about...
Oh, I'm going to talk about what the fuck happened in Tennessee today.
Yeah, apparently something happened in Tennessee. I don't know about it, and I'm about to learn as much as these people who are paying for Patreon
So if you
for
want to hear
bonus footage.
Yes, if you want to hear it, head on over to Patreon.